Now this is a personal one for me. Like honestly, what else was I supposed to put at number 1? It has to be the This year has been a year filled with a bunch of surprises for the better and for the worst. And in today's video, we're going to talk about somewhat of the latter and talk about the disappointments of the 2022 NBA season. This video isn't to throw shots at players or people's favorite teams. It's just me being objective and honest about what I've seen this season. So if you feel some type of way, trust me, I'm not trying to just hate on a particular player or team. I'm just being real and giving my honest opinion. If you disagree, let me know down below in the comment section. I have no problem interacting with as many people as possible on my takes. And speaking of interacting with people, make sure you drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. I just hit 70,000 subscribers. Thank you everybody for the support. On Saturday, I'll probably be doing a live stream to thank everyone, do a Q&A, and just talk about basketball as a whole in celebration of me hitting 70K. It really is because of you guys showing support to me on this channel, and I appreciate it so much. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you join the family and hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, let's kick things off with the first disappointment of the season, and I have to talk about the dunk contest. My goodness, the dunk contest was trash. All-Star weekend as a whole was not the best, but you did have some high moments. The All-Star game can be competitive due to the new format. The three-point contest was nice, especially to see Karl Anthony Towns win. And by the way, shout out to Cat for dropping 60 points, including 56 in the first 3 quarters alone. Insane, for real. The skills challenge was relatively entertaining in certain moments, and the rookie and sophomore game wasn't bad. It definitely had some dead spots, but I thought it was relatively decent for what it was. But my goodness, the worst part of All-Star weekend has to be undoubtedly the dunk contest. Look, I'm happy for Obi Toppin, but in a normal year, Obi would have finished probably last in a lot of good dunk contests. I mean, we're talking about some of the most basic dunks these guys could not pull off. And I don't know who got rid of the counter, but we need to bring it back. There's no reason why we should allow Jalen Green to take up 5 years of the dunk contest just so he can make some goofy between the legs dunk from the side. That's just insanely boring. And Juan Toscano Anderson, I don't know who invited you to the dunk contest, but please uninvite yourself from the dunk contest forever. This man dunked on JaVale McGee and thought he could walk up into a dunk contest. It's insane to me why he was even allowed to compete. And I'm not trying to be mean. I like Juan Toscano Anderson, but there's a difference between being a good in-game dunker and being a good dunk contest dunker. It's two completely different things, and I don't think enough people or even these players fully understood that. And my proposal is you either get rid of the dunk contest and replace it with horse, because that used to be a really nice event back in the day. You could bring that back. Or if you want to keep the event, have street ball dunkers come in, because this is just trash. Honestly, this event has become a joke. Levine and Aaron Gordon, they must have set such a high bar that nobody else can cross, because that might have been the best dunk contest I've ever seen, and ever since then it's just fallen off a cliff. But moving on to the next player we have on this list, we got Kristaps Porzingis. Now this is a personal one for me, because when Porzingis and Luka Doncic were paired together, it was very obvious that the goal was to win with these two as the face of the franchise for the Mavericks. And for the first year, it was promising. They both had solid regular seasons, with Luka being an MVP candidate as a sophomore, and they took the Clippers 6 games in the first round of the playoffs, despite Porzingis only playing in 3 of them. So from the jump, it looked like the Mavericks had a very promising future with these two as the head of the table. But since then, Porzingis has gradually declined every single year. Offensively, he's not that much of a creator on his own. He can barely space the floor because he's kind of a fake shooter at this point. He's not that effective in the post whatsoever. He's a decent passer, I would say, but he's not much of a playmaker. On the defensive side of the ball, outside of being a good shot blocker on the weak side, I should say, he really doesn't provide you that much else. He's bad on pick and rolls. He's not much of a switcher. And even on the boards, he sucks. He is a bad rebounder for someone of his size. He strays away from physicality on both ends of the court, and that leads into the biggest reason why he's a disappointment, and that's due to his lack of availability. Porzingis has consistently missed games throughout his entire career outside of his rookie year, I would say. The most games he's ever been able to play since his sophomore season was 66 games. Ever since then, you got 48 games in 2018, 57 games in 2020, 2020, 43 games in 2021, 38 games this year as well. Porzingis is consistently injured, and I'm not blaming him for it, but at the end of the day, the best ability is availability, and Porzingis' lack of availability has made him one of the worst contracts in the league. Because don't forget, Porzingis got paid $31 million for this season, $33 million next year, and has a player option in 2024 for $36 million. For a player that can't even play 60 games a season and isn't producing at an elite level on either end of the court, or isn't even an all-star caliber player, I'm sorry, that is way too much money for him. And I'm not even mad that the Wizards traded for him, because they really got no choice if they're going to stick it out with Bradley Beal as the face of their franchise. They got to do something. But just look at his value in that trade. The Mavericks had to attach a pick just to get Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans in exchange for him. That's how low his value is in the NBA, and there's a reason for that. But let's move on to the next disappointment of this season, and we have Zion Williamson. Now, I know Zion has not played, but that's kind of the problem as far as how disappointing he's been this year. I understand that when it comes to being injured, a lot of that is just out of your control. You can't control an injury coming. And with Zion's playstyle as a whole, considering he's even undersized also, it's very clear that injuries are always going to be a factor in his career. I mean, he walked into the NBA injured. Let's not forget he only played 22 games in his rookie season. But unfortunately, when you look at his weight, that is a big issue for him. And I'm not even believing a lot of the photoshopped pictures of Zion looking like a mammoth, but if you just look at his media day photos and interviews, it's very obvious he's not even in the best of shape compared to his rookie year or him in college. I just don't get how Coach K can put you in better shape than when you're in the NBA. That's unacceptable. And then we're hearing these reports that he doesn't even want to be there, and look, you don't know what's real and what's fake these days, especially if it's not coming out of my guy Woj or Shams. Let's just be honest, it isn't 100% credible, but those rumors seem to have validity to it when even his teammates like JJ Redick are coming out saying that Zion was a shut-off person. And when you're the clear leader on the team, or at least the face of the franchise, because Zion is the obvious face of the Pelicans, how can you be a shut-off person and not embrace your teammates? For example, just look at the CJ McCollum situation. The man didn't reach out to him until JJ Redick criticized him. CJ McCollum came out and said Zion didn't reach out to him, and he just got pressured by a lot of people in the media saying that was a messed up decision. And then on top of those things, in his draft class, guys like Darius Garland and John Morant, they've ascended to all-star levels this year, and the future is even brighter for them than Zion if they can stay healthy, because Zion, I'm sorry, the best ability is availability, and you don't got that. And I'm not saying Zion is going to be a bust, he's going to be trash, because no, I think somebody that averages 28 points last year on 60% shooting from the field, yeah, that guy's going to be straight. He has loads of potential and is already an all-star caliber player that could become the best player in the NBA one day if he puts his mind to it. But it's just very clear that his heart and his mind is not really on the Pelicans right now, because if it was, he would probably be on the court. Let's just be honest. And with the Pelicans, even despite him not playing a single minute this year in play-in position, I would say, man, Zion, your situation is not that bad for you to not want to be there. You actually have a really solid team around you. But hey, it is what it is. Zion wants to be in New York, right? So maybe he's probably going to be a Knick next year for all we know. But moving on to the next disappointment, we have the Brooklyn Nets big three this season. I won't spend too much time talking about it because I addressed it in a video when they broke up. If you haven't seen it, make sure you go and check it out. But this Nets big three, what a disappointment. Now, I know the initial reaction is injuries. Well, that contributes to why they're a disappointment, in addition to other things also. As mentioned before, injuries to Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden happened at critical points in their tenure together, whether in the playoffs or regular season. And then you throw in Kyrie Irving not wanting to get the vaccine, and a whole new dimension of problems exists for them. They have to deal with the part-time player later on in the season when they actually allowed him to play part-time. And in the midst of all that, James Harden is just getting frustrated because this is not what he signed up for. And long story short, James Harden is traded to Brooklyn, Ben Simmons takes his place, and the mandate is not going to be lifted, so Kyrie is still going to be part-time. So after only 16 games played together, the big three of Kyrie Irving, James Harden, and Kevin Durant, the super team that was supposed to destroy us with offensive innovation, due to injuries, poor coaching, and bad roster construction, it just did not work out. So it's no surprise that they're on this list, because according to James Harden, we were supposed to be getting scary hours this year from them, and and boy, it was scary, but for the wrong reasons for the Nets. But moving on to our final disappointment, and could it be any other thing than the Lakers? Like honestly, what else was I supposed to put at number 1? It has to be the Lakers. This team is a disgrace. They just got blown out by the Raptors the other day despite LeBron putting up 30, even though the stat pattern was back in full effect. But ever since he's been dropping 50 pieces, they can't win literally without him dropping a 50 piece. LeBron is probably going to lead the league in scoring this year despite being on a team that's below 500 and probably not going to make the playoffs. You usually don't see that happen in the NBA, but stat pattern might be one of the few anomalies. And look, it's all jokes when I say stat pattern, but LeBron is not blameless in this situation. For starters, he did want Russell Westbrook, so he does have to bear some blame of him being on the team, and trust me, we're going to get to Westbrook in a second. But then you throw in the fact that on some defensive possessions, he's not even trying, and that's just completely unacceptable. To not show effort on that side of the ball, I don't care how mad you are or how bad your team is, there really is no justification for that. I don't care if you're old, I don't care if you're the best player in the league, there's no excuse for you to not show effort on one side of the ball. You can't just leave your teammates to go out there and play 4-on-5 on defense. That's ridiculous. If you have all this effort on offense, you should show that effort on defense. You can't just leave all the defensive responsibility for Anthony Davis, because that's just going to give him more of a load on that side of the ball, which can lead to even more injuries because of you. But speaking of Mr. Street Clothes, that leads me into Anthony Davis. AD this season has definitely been underwhelming. He's a below average jump shooter from the mid-range and the three-point line, and even at the free throw line I'm fairly disappointed because he's shooting a career low at 71%. Now defensively, he has been actually pretty good. I think a lot of people are criticizing him way too much on that side of the ball. He just has to do so much that he's gonna look a lot worse than he actually is, due to him having to cover for damn near every single person on the court, because they have no legit point of attack defenders, and it's not like he has that much help in the front court. And if we're being honest, a lot of the issues with Anthony Davis is because he has Russell Westbrook on the team with him. And we might as well address the elephant in the room, Russell Westbrook being trashed this year. Westbrook has been one of the biggest disappointments of the year, considering that people just expected him to be a consistent point guard, and that's not what he's been at all. I truly regret putting Westbrook on my top 10 point guards earlier on in the season, because my goodness, he is nowhere close this year. On defense, he's terrible. He can't make any type of jumpers. He's an inconsistent mid-range shooter and hits the top of the backboard once a week. He probably averages 5 air balls a game too. And even his best trait, getting rim pressure, he can still do that, but he's not converting at the rim at all. I mean, we're talking smoked open layups and missed dunks. It truly is sad to see what Westbrook has become due to his lack of athleticism in comparison to recent years, and I'm gonna be honest, he's on the hard decline right now. And I'm so serious when I say this, but Westbrook, unless he just settles to be a bench player for a very long time, he's probably gonna be out the league within the next 5 years, either retired or in China. Because I truly don't see why any team, unless you're trying to tank, wants Westbrook as their starting point guard. Because even if you think he can do what he did in Washington again, that's not that productive or impactful of a season. The Wizards were below 500 and lost in the first round in 5 games to the Sixers. If you think that's what Westbrook should be doing, I'm sorry, but there's not that much value in having a season like that anymore. And then on top of that, he's overpaid and makes the most money out of anybody on the roster, and that's not his fault, because for starters, he earned that money when he won the MVP in 2017, and any team that takes on Russell Westbrook should know better, because the Lakers front office, they knew what he was going to be making this year. They knew that he has 1 more year left on his deal, which is a player option that I'm sure he's not declining, and they, along with any other front office, knows that when you have a big 3 that especially makes the money that they make, your roster is going to be handicapped in some way, shape, or form. And for 2 of those players to be fairly injury prone in Anthony Davis and LeBron James, who can miss games from time to time due to his age, the fact that Westbrook was their solution is insane to me. And Frank Vogel, I defended you in the past, but you have not done a great job with the roster that you have due to your rotations being a little bit suspect and your lack of adjustments in a lot of these games. But I can't even be that mad at him because the roster just flat out sucks. So the Lakers this year have to easily be the biggest disappointment of this season, because my God, let's not forget, people said they were a super team. My God, that was embarrassing. But that concludes this video. If you guys disagree with anything that I said, let me know down below in the comment section. Do not forget to follow me on social media. The links for my Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch are down below in the comment section. This is is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all stay safe and have a blessed day. Peace.